In pursuit of a beautiful picture for propaganda, Russian commanders turned soldiers of the Russian army into living victims. The soldiers who participated in the so-called Operation Pipe and made their way to Sudzha via a gas pipeline suffered severe lung damage. Doctors admit they have never seen such horror. Russian war correspondent Operator 13 published a video from the hospital which shows X-rays of the occupiers' lungs. The commentary on the video sounds almost like a death sentence. All the fighters who took part in Operation Potok have such lungs. The lungs are completely clogged. Doctors are fighting the consequences, but no one knows how this will affect the fighters in the future. The doctor in the footage only sighs heavily. Lord have mercy. In pursuit of the myth of heroic penetration, Russian military personnel climbed into an old gas pipeline through which gas had been pumped to Europe for years. However, Russian commanders did not even bother to think that the pipe had accumulated residues of technical oils, toxic resins, combustion products, rust, heavy hydrocarbons, and condensates. When inhaled, these substances destroy mucous membranes, cause severe chemical burns of the respiratory tract, and can provoke the development of chronic toxic pneumonia and even oncology. In addition, there was virtually no oxygen in the confined space of the pipe. The soldiers suffered from hypoxia and inhaled chemical vapors, which has already led to poisoning of varying degrees of severity for many of them. According to doctors, the soldiers' lungs are so damaged that they will most likely never recover. And all of this for the sake of a banal propaganda show and an attempt to pass off an insignificant episode as a heroic special operation. In reality, there was practically no military effect from this adventure, but dozens of soldiers are now doomed to lifelong illnesses and disabilities. As a result, Russian propaganda is inflating victorious reports, hiding the real consequences. And the military themselves turned out to be unnecessary expendable material. No one thought through their protection, did not assess the risks, and today they are lying in hospitals with hopelessly destroyed lungs, while on television they are being turned into a beautiful myth. As toxicologists explain, such pipes can accumulate not only residual oil and resins, but also sulfur compounds, nitrogen oxides, phenols, methane vapors, and other dangerous gases. When these substances enter the lungs, they cause chemical burns of tissue, fibrosis, damage to the bronchi and alveoli, which can later cause respiratory failure and death. While Russian television shows parades and heroes, the reality is this: the Kremlin's own army is expendable material for the sake of myths and beautiful headlines. And for each such myth, dozens of soldiers pay with their health and lives.
President Donald Trump is defending his national security advisor, Michael Waltz, and top administration officials are downplaying a security breach that saw plans for upcoming military strikes in Yemen shared on a Signal group chat. According to Associated Press, they insist classified information wasn't leaked and are far more outraged with the journalist, editor-in-chief for The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, who was errantly included in the chat by Waltz and reported on its contents. Speaking to reporters in the cabinet room Tuesday afternoon during a meeting with a group of his ambassadors, President Donald Trump said of the Signal leak, "The main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful." Trump called Waltz a very good man and insisted he will continue to do a very good job, while adding, "You have to learn from every experience. I think it's very unfair how they attacked Michael." The president also said he didn't believe Waltz should have to apologize and, "I think he's doing his best." He also insisted no classified information was leaked, adding, "Now if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different." Trump instead decried Goldberg, calling him a total sleazebag. Waltz hit the same theme saying, I think there's a lot in the lessons for a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves making up lies about this president. This journalist, Mr. President, wants the world talking about more hoaxes, Waltz said. The ambassadors in the room later applauded his comments.
Mr. President, are you going to change any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships, not only our ships, ships all over the world. They're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use. And I think I'll ask Mike. Mike is here. Do you want to respond to that, please?
Yes, Mr. President, you asked about lessons. I think there's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president, whether it's the Russia hoax or making up lies about Gold Star families. And this one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. But I'll tell you what, the world owes President Trump a favor. Under Biden, global shipping was shut down. President Trump took decisive action with his national security team, took out the head missileer, knocked out missiles, knocked out headquarters, knocked out communication sites. And for once, as we hear, as you all hear from every one of our allies, thank God for American leadership again. Thank God for American strength. You're welcome, world.
National security was put at risk, Mr. President.
Of senior officials using signal moving forward. The use of signal to communicate from senior officials.
Well, I don't know anything about signal. I wasn't involved in this, but I just heard about it. And I hear it's used by a lot of groups. It's used by the media a lot. It's used by a lot of the military, and I think successfully, but sometimes somebody can get onto those things. That's one of the prices you pay when you're not sitting in the situation room with no phones on, which is always the best, frankly.
So are you going to change any procedures as a result of this?
This certainly will look at this, but the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified information. So this was not classified. Now, if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different. But I always say you have to learn from every experience. I think it was very unfair the way they attacked Michael. He's a good person. The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know.
But you are going to conduct an investigation.
The man that we're talking about, who's not somebody that I don't think most people have ever heard of. He left. He found it very boring, and he left early. He got off the line very early, so I can't speak to it other than that. So he's made up a lot of stories, and you know, I think he's basically bad for the country. But it's a failing venture, very failing venture. They're very upset, and a thing like this is publicity for them. But I don't think we should allow people that are very good, like that man sitting right at the end of the table who's done a great job, we shouldn't allow them to be hurt by it.
Mr. President, do you think that Mike Waltz made a mistake, and does he need to apologize?
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again. At least not in the very near future. What do you think?
Yes, sir. I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
A lot of times you find out defects by exactly things like that, but I don't think it's something we're looking forward to using again. We may be forced to use it. You may be in a situation where you need speed as opposed to gross safety, and you may be forced to use it, but generally speaking, I think we probably won't be using it very much.